Good day, beautiful soul family, and welcome back to Miracles Beneath the Surface. Okay, and so if you are seeing this, this is part of the section, the tier of Women of Integrity, and it's just so interesting because I was trying to figure out. Where would I display this? You know, there are some things that I am to put on to YouTube, and there are some things to not put on YouTube. And so as a member of Miracles Beneath the Surface, it's about understanding the miracle that is within you, the miracle that you are. And Divine Spirit, as I do my own reading in the Bible, I wonder why there is not that much attention to the prophetess of the Bible, to the women of the Bible, because truth be told, we're divine feminines when I think about it. Prophetess are women who chose to live their life accordingly in alignment with the will of God, the Almighty. They are the women who willingly choose to seek out God. They don't seek out statues or any idols or idioms. They seek God. And we see that because they seek God, these women seek out God. They are divine. They are divine feminines. Divine feminines is understanding that you are not weak. Divine feminines is about understanding the masculine energy and the feminine energy, where even though you're down and out, I feel like it is a very and so interesting because with divine beings, okay, so with divine masculines, right, it's about understanding their other half of self. It's not just understanding the masculine role, but understanding the feminine energy that is within. And again, this is not about sexuality. This is about humbleness. As we're understanding the different energies that is within one another, we're saying, we're maybe in a situation that as the world looks at feminines as being weak, we can use that masculine energy, though humble we are, and be courageous and go on to Divine Spirit and say, I need you in my life. Though afflicted, though hated, ... you fill in the blank. Divine Spirit, I come to you for you to rescue me, you to help me. And because of that, because we go to Divine Spirit, we are not the damsels in distress. We are not. We seek out Divine Spirit. And Divine Spirit is mighty in the battles as we are in the front lines. Whatever it is, we ourselves, all of us really, are in the front lines. But it is, who are we calling out to aid us as we are in this battle? Call my name. And so, what's so interesting is that Divine Spirit is telling me about Leah. Now I put Leah on the YouTube because it also is about the tribe of Israel. But this is about women of integrity. And it took me some time because I was waiting. I was waiting for Divine Spirit to give me, please give me guidance, give me insight, show me what it is, you know. And as I was doing the reading, as I was doing my investigations, you know, one thing leads to another, which is it's a plethora. What I see here is that it's a pattern. You know, as you go into the Bible, and even as you see in life, we're seeing different patterns. The fine lines are subtle, right? Because it's like a pop-up book. So you turn the pages, and then you have to do certain things, and it pops up, right? The process of pulling on certain things, adding pressure to certain areas, pops up a harvest, allows you to see it all. And so what's so interesting, beautiful members, soul family, really, you're not just members, you're a soul family. And it's about seeing the patterns, seeing the fine line. Divine Spirit is telling me that as you are writing, as an artist, when I was younger, I loved drawing. The things that I would draw would be flowers and houses, and birds and rabbits. But in the beginning, as I was learning how to draw, I would lean very hard on my pencil, because I thought that I needed to see the lines. And in the beginning, it's rough. But as you continue to learn how to draw, you come into that point of finessing. And as you finesse through, you don't need to lean so heavy on the pencil. It's about the fine line. And so maybe I will put this on YouTube as well. But it's about the fine line. And being able to see the fine line, because as you're finessing, what's loud is the colors. Whether it's black or white, it's still loud. You don't pay attention. You don't see the fine lines. But it's the fine lines that brings forth form. And because of the form that is there, you are able to add color. You see? And so as I look and see, beautiful soul family, I'm seeing the patterns. Each time, here it says on this page, bowed in worship. These women, though they're women, and though they are caught up in afflictions and hatred, they utilize strength to go to Divine Spirit and to bow down in worship. And for a woman in affliction, but still, you know, how many of us are in affliction and fall out? It's because it takes strength. Okay, it's a different type of strength. It's more of a softer strength, but it gets the job done. Where you can humble yourself as you are down and out and worship. And be still. And what's so interesting, beautiful soul family, is that when I look at Leah, Rachel, Ruth, all the women that are mentioned in the Bible, this is what they did. Though afflicted, though hated, they used a little bit of their faith and they bowed in worship. When they came back up, they were redeemed. You see, this is something that masculines need to know. People who are in that masculine energy. And so this is why I'm thankful to be able to read the Bible. This is why I encourage you to read the Bible, because it helps you to be strong. Man, woman, child, young, old, doesn't matter. You are being strengthened. Your soul is nourished. And so what's so interesting, let me get my glasses. So, what's so interesting, beautiful soul family, is that Hannah went through a lot. Okay? As I was doing my research, Divine Spirit was showing me some other things to talk about. But I want to talk about Hannah for right now. This is what I'm talking about, Hannah. And what's so wonderful is that as you do your different research, you come to find it's like a domino effect. It's just a plethora. As you go into the Bible, you are understanding your legacy. Okay? Now, I came to my table, my sacred space, and I opened the Bible, and it led me to 1 Samuel chapter 2, and that is Hannah's triumphant prayer. Okay? But I wanted to know, I want to know now as I am more mature, because I did read about this when I was younger, but of course, I was younger. I read about it, and it's like it planted a seed in my heart, in my subconscious. And so now as I'm older, I am able to get a deeper understanding of it as I am a grown woman. And so as I look back into it, I'm like, wow, every time a man seeks out to have more than one wife at the same time, it brings forth problems. Okay? Hannah went into prayer. She was afflicted. She went through different tauntings from Peninnah. What's so interesting is that I like to, when I do research, I like to really break it down to a science. So I was looking, I was able to see, here it says Elkanah, right? And it talks, and I encourage you to read 1 Samuel chapter 1. Okay? And then chapter 2 talks about Hannah's triumphant prayer. All right? But in order to understand who, what, where, why, right? Spiritual investigating, doing the research. And it is about who is Hannah, right? So as brought out with, understanding narcissism and understanding, that of which is created by lust, and Joseph created by love, and I wanted to know who are the parents of Peninnah, Peninnah and Hannah, and wasn't able to find that, but I was able to find out their names, their meanings of their names. And so back then, there are different customs, and it leads me to wonder, were they part of this custom where, as we see about the different prophets, especially Divine Spirit is telling me Zechariah, all right, and Mary, they were told the names, to name their children, all right, their children. And so it's because their names have meaning. So Elkanah means God has created, God has brought, God has possessed, God is zealous, right? So, and he is from, he's an Ephraimite, which is brought up here in verse 1, chapter 1, verse 1. It talks about the lineage, and all of that is for a reason, okay? Hannah's name means favor, grace. God has favored. It just, when you understand, it's all about that fine line, right? And so how things are being formed, right? And so as you are coming to understand, as you come to understand the story, the story is the color, right? But it's about the fine line of Divine Spirit's hands, okay? And so as we understand the names, Hannah is favor, grace. What's interesting is Peninnah, her name means pearl, okay? Now, what's so interesting is that when there's so many, what I've come to notice is that we all have purpose. We all have our blueprints, okay? And they're original. We are not here. What I love is that we are not here to be a template. What is so beautiful, Divine Spirit is telling me that within your hands, and I'm not going to cry, but within your hands is your gift. It's your purpose. And I hope I'm still recording. But it's your purpose. And no one's fingerprints is like another. Even if you were a twin, identical twin, your fingerprints are different. And that shows the beauty of God the Almighty. Okay? Divine Spirit is telling me that even though it doesn't matter, ancestors, take on different characteristics, but when it comes to your gift that you are given, it is different. And when you come to understand your gift that has been given to you in your hands, there's no way. I just feel so much. It's so interesting because I feel so much energy within my hands and in talking about our blessings, and there's no way that you can not feel loved, not feel cherished and blessed. There's no way, but once you ignore that and you use your hands to go against your purpose, that means you becoming a template, you're looking after somebody else, you wanted to take what somebody else has, that is when you according to your name, the vibrations and frequencies and energies of your name, your purpose, you bring forth the total opposite. Because look at here. Penaya, right? Her name means pearl. And when I think about pearl, pearls are caused from conflict. When you don't go according to your purpose, because she was taunting, it says in the Bible that she was taunting Hananiah because she was like boasting, raving around, oh, I'm able to have his babies. I don't know why I took that. But that's what she was doing. She was like doing an energetic dance, taunting. Like, what's so interesting is Penaniah is the second wife. When you don't see your gifts and you use your energy and your power to taunt, to make someone else not feel good, or try to block, or try to do whatever to somebody else, you're bringing forth agitation. But as we think about a pearl, how is a pearl brought about? It's brought about through agitation. Through the means of agitation and affliction and hatred. Divine uses it to bring forth beauty. What I was seeing about the pearl is seed time and harvest. In the oyster, some sand comes in and it brings forth conflict and agitation. But what comes out of that is pearl. Now, even though, you know, here it says that Hananiah, or Hannah's womb was barren. She was barren. Okay? And here it says, whenever Elkanah offered a sacrifice. Now, what's so interesting is, as I was doing my research, this is a Hebrew family, and they would go and do their sacrifices. What's so interesting is that the priest that was there was Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas. And in knowing about Hophni and Phinehas, they were crooked. And so, just, you know, it's like certain people, it's an energy of people who have a knowing power, spiritual power, and what they do with it. Divine Spirit says that power is your entitlement, like your purpose, you know. But when you go against your purpose, you are doing the total opposite than what you are purposed to do. And so, Phinehas, Penaniah, her name is Pearl, but she was bringing forth agitation. That's why I wanted to know the parents and, you know, where they came up. But interesting enough, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it for Penaniah, and I couldn't find it for Hannah. But anyways, so I looked up and I wanted to know, well, how many children did Penaniah have? She had 10 sons and 2 daughters. My thing is, it's like, you have all these children, right? You have Elkanah in your life, and you have all these children. But why was she still taunting Hannah? It's because there was something that, it was energy. It was an energy. She wasn't going according to her purpose. She wasn't being this beautiful pearl. She was being the agitator. But because she was going against her purpose, you know, because we're not purposed to bring forth agitation to people. We're not, right? But when Peninnah was bringing forth agitation to Hannah, what was caused was a beautiful pearl. What was that beautiful pearl? Samuel. And this leads us, it leads us to the triumphant prayer of Hannah. And like I said, I got 2 other videos that I got to do just from this. But one of them maybe is connected more so to this, and it's the prayer. It's the triumphant prayer of Hannah, right? But here, as she was going through her afflictions, you know, as I've mentioned in the beginning, it's about bowing down in worship. And this is what Hannah did. Now, it doesn't say how Peninnah did any worshiping and praising because of her children. I mean, I could read even deeper. But what it goes on to show is if she was indeed thankful for her 10 sons and 2 daughters, she wouldn't bring forth agitation. Because once you go into prayer and you humble yourself, you don't, as you come out of prayer, you don't, and it's truth, it's by spirit and truth, you don't come out the same. You come out refreshed. You come out with wisdom. There's no way that you can be before divine spirit and you're praying in spirit and truth and you leave the same way. There's absolutely no way. So, in her afflictions and feeling like she's not good enough because her womb was barren, we see that it was the agitation brought from Peninnah that brought forth that beautiful miracle, that beautiful pearl, Samuel. Okay? Because here in, it just goes on to show, and I encourage you to read it, but it goes on to show how, in verse 9 it says, on one occasion Hananiah got up after they ate and drank at Shiloh. The priest Eli was sitting on a chair. By the doorpost. Actually, because as I read this, I'm like, wait a second, she wasn't eating. And as I read in verse 8, all of them, were eating and drinking, going on about their day. But Hannah was not eating, because here it says, her husband's like, in verse 7 it says, year after year, when she went up to the Lord's house, her rival taunted her. And sadly enough, but they became rivals. And instead of fighting back, she was fasting. It says that she wasn't eating or drinking. It says her rival taunted her in this way. Here, let's go back up. It says 5. It says, but he gave a double portion to Hannah. Okay? For he loved her even though the Lord had kept her from conceiving. Her rival would taunt her severely just to provoke her. Now, it doesn't make any sense, because she is married to Elkanah, so therefore she has a man in her life, and she's bearing forth children. But why is she still not happy? See, a woman that is happy doesn't provoke, doesn't cause problems. She did it to provoke, to bring forth that agitation, you see. Because the Lord had kept Hannah from conceiving. Year after year, when she went up to the Lord's house, her rival taunted her in this way. Hannah would weep and would not eat. Hannah, why are you crying? And that's irritating, because you know what? I'm sure he saw how Peninnah was taunting Hannah. I'm sure. He would say, why won't you eat? Why are you troubled? Am I not better than 10 sons? It says on one occasion, verse 9, on one occasion Hannah got up after they ate and drank at Shiloh. The priest Eli sat on a chair by the doorpost of the Lord's temple. Deeply hurt, Hannah prayed to the Lord and wept with many tears. Making a vow, she pleaded, Lord of armies, if you will take notice of your servant's affliction, remember and not forget me, and give your servant a son. I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and his hair will never be cut. Verse 12. While she continued praying in the Lord's presence, Eli watched her mouth. Hannah was praying silently, and though her lips were moving, her voice could not be heard. Eli thought that she was drunk, and said to her, how long are you going to be drunk? Get rid of your wine. 15. She says, no, my Lord, Hannah replied. I am a woman with a broken heart. I haven't had any wine or beer. I've been pouring out my heart before the Lord. Don't think of me as a wicked woman. I've been praying from the depth of my anguish and resentment. Eli responded, go in peace, and may God of Israel grant the request you've made of him. May your servant find favor with you, she replied. Then Hannah went on her way, and she ate and no longer looked despondent. You see, what's so interesting, I need some water. That even though she was afflicted, even though she was caught up in anguish and resentment, see, interesting enough, Peninnah, she was also caught up in some type of anguish and resentment because she decided to go ahead, even though she was having all these children, and she had Elkanah who was loving her. She still had a resentment. You see, that resentment was because she knew that Elkanah had loved Hannah so much. It was the energy of love that she felt. And it brings me back to an analogy that Divine Spirit was showing me about the two children. They both have gifts. But the one who was more wicked wasn't paying attention to the gift or the toy that he had, because what I was looking at was two boys. The one child was looking at the other child who wasn't paying attention to anybody else, but paying attention to their gift and was loving their gift. And what was noted, what the other child that was so wicked and not happy was about the energy of love and appreciation that the other child had for their gift. And in the same matter, I'm going to put this on YouTube. Oh gosh. But the same thing was about the energy of love. You see, because Hannah was the first wife. She was barren. Even though she was barren, even though she went through afflictions and tauntings, her name means God favored. And so I wonder, I'm like, you know, if Elkanah loved Hannah so much, why did he have another wife? And may have been because Hannah was barren. And it's about continuing on the legacy and bloodline. And so here we have Peninnah. And so Peninnah's wound was not barren. It showed, however, that Hannah's name was favored And so her husband would give double the share. Now he would give to Peniah meat, and he would give the children meat. But when it came to Hannah, he would give double the share. And that was a showing of his love. And so it's like when you're moved by love, what do you do? And so Peniah saw that love, for her name means favored. Peniah used her power to bring forth agitation. That agitation brought forth Samuel. You see, as you're being agitated and as you're being afflicted, what do you do? Do you use that same energy back to that person? Or do you humble yourself before Divine Spirit? What is so beautiful is that Eli could not hear her prayer and thought that she was drunk. Divine Spirit, as I was reading this, was bringing me to the New Testament about how the people were caught up with the Holy Spirit, and they were wondering if they were drunk. This is like that same energy. But Divine Spirit in the Old Testament, she was praying to the Lord of armies. And the thing about it is that Divine Spirit hears those silent prayers. Sometimes you are so afflicted, and sometimes you are so out of it that you can't even bring the sound through. But Divine Spirit hears your silent prayers. Though she said that I am a woman of a broken heart. So broken that she couldn't even eat. I am a woman that is taunted. Afflicted. And so I can use my power to do the same things that's happening to me. Does two wrongs make a right? Does it bring forth something good? And the thing about it is it doesn't. And so she was so afflicted. And Elkanah was like, why are you afflicted? Don't you know, isn't my love more than these 10 sons? And it's just so much going on. The thing about it, though, is that even though she was afflicted and taunted, she felt blocked. Like she wasn't able to produce. She prayed. She took her request, used her power in a different way. She went to the Lord of armies. And she was so afflicted that the words couldn't come out of her mouth, but she was moving. It was about the energies of those words, because it was coming from the issues of her heart. So even though you're afflicted, it's about what do you use your strength. You know, it is stated that a person can walk away, and don't think that the person that decides to walk away from a battle, from conflict, it's not that they're weak, it's that they're strong enough to hold on to their peace and not give forth that transference and use their peace to walk away. She was using her peace to walk away, but go and humble herself before Divine Spirit. And because of that, she's triumphant. I have to make sure that I'm recording. Oh, I just get, just divine spirit just, it's not only that, you know, the reason why I close my eyes is because I am, divine spirit shows me, and in order for me to express it to you, I have to close my eyes. Because it's like I am there. You know, how many times have we been afflicted? And, you know, there's different types of energies. There's energy where you're showing your grit and your determination, and, you know, but there's other ways to use your power. Maybe this is the power of the feminine power. Though soft, she knows who to turn to. She didn't turn to Elkanah, who was caught up in confusion. I don't know how. How could he not see that Penaniah is not causing problems? And I think to a degree he saw it, because he was like, isn't my love more than 10 sons? And he was not understanding. He just wasn't. So she went to God the Almighty, the Lord of armies. She said, I won't even cut his hair. What's so beautiful is that, as mentioned, when you go into prayer and you humble yourself, immediately after praying, what's so interesting is that even Eli thought she was drunk. A high priest didn't even know what was going on. But she said, no, I'm not a wicked woman. And I'm not drunk. But what's coming through my mouth, though you cannot hear, is the issues of a broken heart. You know, Eli couldn't really understand this type of energy seen in someone else, because his sons were wicked. And he didn't see in them what he saw in Hannah. He didn't see it. And so he thought that she was drunkard. He said, put away the wine. Man, come on now, put away the wine. But she's like, I'm a woman with a broken heart. And I don't turn to wine when I'm afflicted. She didn't say that, but that's pretty much what her actions are. You know, action speaks louder than 1,000 words, right? When she's afflicted, she goes to divine spirit. She doesn't turn to wine. And when I think about it, divine spirit is saying she doesn't whine. She doesn't use her energy to. She used her energy. It's like, well, when we're afflicted, what do we use our energy to do? She went to divine spirit. She went to the Lord of armies. Please fight this battle that I am in. Bring healing to this much afflicted heart. It's about those silent prayers. Although she's afflicted and the words, actual words weren't coming out of her mouth, God Almighty heard her. Okay? As she came out of that prayer, it says, while she continues, okay, she says, okay. Here it says, She was praying from her anguish and resentment. And I remember Divine Spirit was telling me it's about when you are caught up in anguish and resentment, what do you do? It's that contrast. When Penaniah, she was in some way, shape, or form caught up in anguish and resentment because of the love that she saw that Elkanah had for Hannah. But what Hannah, when she was in anguish and resentment, she went to Divine Spirit. Now I love right here, as she come out of that prayer, she didn't carry on that energy, right? Here in verse 18 it says, may your servant find favor with you. That's what Eli was saying. She replied, then Hannah went, oh wait, that's what Hannah was saying. Then she went on her way. What's so different is that then she began to eat. She ate and no longer looked despondent. The next morning, Elkanah and Hannah got up early to worship before the Lord. Afterward, they returned home to Ramah. Then Elkanah was intimate with his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. And after some time, it doesn't talk about how long it was, but after some time, Hannah conceived and gave birth to a son. She named him Samuel because she said, I requested him from the Lord. When we go into prayer, it doesn't need to be loud because the Divine Spirit hears. It's really from the heart. But as you come out of prayer, see the difference between a carnal prayer and a prayer of spirit and truth is when you come out, you already know it's done. You already know. She went out of prayer. She's like, you know what? I know it's done. I know it's done. I'm no longer despondent. I am going to eat and I am going to drink because I took in anguish and resentment. I humbled myself before God Almighty, the Lord of armies, to do what it does in this battle. Do what it do, right? But she kept her word. And it leads us to Hannah's triumphant prayer. Okay, so here it says, Hannah prayed, my heart rejoices in the Lord. My horn is lifted up by the Lord. My mouth boasts over my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. There is no one holy like the Lord. There is no one besides you, and there is no rock like our God. Do not boast so proudly, or let arrogant words come out of your mouth, for the Lord is God of knowledge, and actions are weighed by him. The bows of warriors are broken, but the feeble are clothed with strength. Those who are full hire themselves out for food, but those who are starving hunger no more. The woman who is childless gives birth to 7, but the woman who with many sons pines away. The Lord brings death and gives life. He sends some down to Sheol, and he raises others up. The Lord brings poverty and gives wealth. He humbles and he exalts. He raises the poor from the dust and lifts the needy from the trash heap. He sets them with noblemen and gives them a throne of honor. For the foundations of the earth are the Lord's. He has set the world on them. He guards the steps of his faithful ones, but the wicked perish in darkness. For a person does not prevail by his own strength. Those who oppose the Lord will be shattered. He will thunder in the heavens against them. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth. He will give power to his king. He will lift up the horn of his anointed. Here it says, Elkanah went home to Ramah, but the boy served the Lord in the presence of the priest Eli. She kept her word. You know, keeping your word is being a good steward. She asked God, remember me. But not only did she want to be remembered, but she also remembered. And she had more children. But she remembered. God remembers and is faithful with his promises. But we also must play our part. And not play our part, but it's all about our purpose. And those who do, though afflicted and anguished and resented, and in the midst of being resentful, what do we do? And that's the contrast. That is the fine line. Beautiful soul family, I hope that just getting to the depths of this helped you in some way, shape, or form. The energy I feel right here is so beautiful. I pray that when you are afflicted and in the midst of anguish, that you understand that God remembers promises and covenants, remembers you. You, no matter how blocked, no matter what, you continue to go according to your purpose. You continue to humble yourself and seek the face of Divine Spirit. You continue to remember that the battle is not yours, but it is the Lord's. And Lord of armies is mighty in battle. And in the end, or in the midst, walk out of that prayer knowing that it is done. This is what Hannah did. And this is what you can do too. Have a beautiful and wonderful day. Shalom, peace. I leave you with love. Namaste.